on Saturday, when we were doing anger management, a lot of people sent us this message that we would like to hear about anger in children, how we can handle it, how we can identify it. So we realized we ought to do something for children. So with that in mind, we've got some stuff, some things that we can discuss, which might help you in addressing anger problems or onset of anger in children. Now, before we start off with this, the further our conversation, there are few conceptions which we discussed yesterday, which we would like to quickly recap with you. Anger per se is not bad. Like we always say that you must always try to be happy and you must never be angry. So these are two conceptions we have to keep aside. We have to understand that it's okay to be angry at the right time, with the right person, and at the right dose. So, like you have the right to be angry at the right person, right time, and right dose, even your children have the right. They do feel angry, they do feel frustrated, they feel irritated. But what do we do? Where do we start? Oh, where do we, how do we guide them, are things that we are going to discuss. With me is my colleague and friend Pragati. So over to you, Pragati.
Thank you, Divdina. Hello, everyone. Lovely to see you all on Sunday again. Today, what I'm going to talk about is a very simple concept. Do you feel your feelings? Because it's very important that we feel our feelings rather than calling them good or bad. Feelings are feelings, they are signals. It's like when the AC is on. If you feel cold, you can just switch it off or regulate the thermostat a little bit to make it comfortable. In the same way, we can regulate our feelings and our emotions. Feelings become emotions when there is some kind of a physiological reaction to it. Like, for example, I'll tell you, you are angry at someone. You may be angry, you are walking on the street and you see someone kicking a dog. It may make you angry, you don't like it, but you carry on. If you're conversing with a friend, you continue conversing with a friend. Or it may happen, moment you see it, your blood starts boiling, you get goosebumps, your pupils dilate. So when there is some physiological reaction with a feeling, it becomes an emotion. Now, as adults, what happens is we start branding feelings good or bad. Now, when you have fear of an ongoing exam, you study for it. So tell me, at that juncture, is fear bad or is it good? What do you think, Divdina?
See, yeah, like this brings us to this whole thing, something that we can talk to youngsters, not necessarily small children, but it can be any a child of any age. That this concept that your anger or your friend of your or your fear, sorry, is your friend at that time or your enemy. So you
Yes.
were talking about this example of kicking a dog. Now, if that vision that you saw of someone kicking a dog and you felt angry about it and you want to do something about it, at that time, what you must realize is your anger is not bad. You channelized your anger.
Absolutely.
So at
So,
that time, your anger is your friend. So when
yes,
we are helping children, we can always ask them, was your anger at that time your friend or was it your enemy?
yes. It's about teaching children to feel their feelings. Sometimes just chatting, the way you and I are chatting about fear, anger, we need to talk to children. So, anger is something which most of us adults have a very uneasy relationship. We blanket it. We say either it's very good, if it's for a social cause, that if you get angry you're going to do something about it. So if there is some news in the media where we feel it's not right, we feel it's our birthright to get angry, so we don't mind getting angry. But if somebody is getting angry, we normally take it as a sign, as if this person is rejecting us. So what we really need to teach children is to talk about their anger. What has made them angry? Did they feel threatened in some way? Did they feel rejected? And was there some goal which did not get met? So when we talk to children about anger, they learn how to create an anger thermometer. So they also know how to regulate their anger. For example, they know, like if children are, let's say a pizza has been called in at home and there are two, three children sharing it. Maybe your brother ate the last slice, and if you're feeling bad about it and you're angry about it, what can you do at that time? Give him a sock on the face, yell at him, or maybe just realize that it's okay, maybe I can have something else. So, how do you regulate your anger at that point is very, very important. So, when we actually have conversations about anger, and we as parents do not lose our cool at the drop of the hat, children also learn to regulate their anger, and they also then start developing a plan to calm down. Now, coming back to the pizza example, maybe if the child realizes that the child is still hungry and that is why he or she is angry, or it may have been that even the previous time the child had to share something and there was not enough. So, when you have a plan in hand, you kind of know how to tackle these mini domestic disasters which become a venting ground for anger.
Another
One
thing
more,
that we can think of is, we always focus on the anger part of it. But
yes.
if we see what lies beneath it, there
Mhm.
are a lot of other emotions, a lot of other feelings that just lie immediately beneath that angry outburst.
Mhm.
A lot of times, if we are a little mindful, we might actually see sadness.
Mhm.
There's something sad that is happening in the child's life, which is coming out as anger.
Mhm.
There are a lot of times, a lot of fears act up. When you are fearful of something, a lot of times the reaction that comes out of you is anger. There can be a number of frustrations which children are dealing with. So to understand what is happening, sometimes children are struggling with academics,
Mhm.
sometimes there is growth issues, sometimes there are a difficulty developing social skills. So there are a number of things that can frustrate a child. Then there's another thing that we often overlook. But yes, children also feel a lot of guilt.
Mhm.
We think that guilt is something only we adults feel, or some grown-ups feel.
Mhm.
But children also feel a lot of guilt. Guilt of letting your parents down is, I think, one of the greatest guilts that a child goes through.
Mhm.
Then maybe feeling responsible for something that has happened in the family,
Mhm.
maybe a death, or maybe some unforeseen incident, something that has gone wrong, maybe even a quarrel between parents. Sometimes
True, true.
children feel that well, maybe I've done something to cause it. So there's
Yes.
a lot of undue guilt, which, because even parents don't understand why is this child so angry, or why is this child throwing a tantrum, or what is happening, why is my child suddenly so irritable. He used to be such a well tempered child. What happened all of a sudden in adolescence, in say as a young adult? So it could be any of these things. We could be a little more mindful about what is actually causing it. Another thing that causes anger, which we don't see, which only can be seen on absolute close observation, is what kind of disappointments a child is facing.
Mhm.
A lot of, like we adults face a lot of disappointments, children also face a lot of disappointments. So, what is that disappointment that the child is facing, which is coming out as an angry reaction? Sometimes it could be things like not getting invited by certain friends.
Mhm.
I remember a time when a child that I was seeing in therapy used to, be so disheartened that she would make the best of effort in her class, but because she joined, I think, a year or two late, the ones who had already formed a group or a gang of friends used to carefully avoid her. So
And
maybe
sometimes children are very judgmental also, like a lot
exactly.
of times children share because of their address, other children judge them. Oh, you live in this area, my parents won't send me there, so I'm not going to come for your party. Little things like that really matter to children.
Exactly. Exactly. Sometimes they are just being excluded, or they are not being part of a team. Inability
True.
to make it to a team sometimes can lead to disappointment.
Yes.
Not being able to win something can lead to disappointment. So there are a number of disappointments which children also tackle. So we need to be a little aware of uh, these things if we see anger or angry outbursts in children.
One
Another
more
thing
thing
that we
that
overlook in children. Yes, please, Pragati.
One more thing that came to my mind, Devlina, was bullying. A lot of times, children are victims of bullying, which they do not discuss with parents at home because probably the parent has told them if someone bullies you, you bully them back. If someone kicks you, you kick them back. Now, maybe the other child is a little bigger than them. Maybe the other child is the teacher's pet. There are a lot of aspects to a class hierarchy which most parents are very oblivious to. They feel that it's okay if the child is pushy. The child can stand up for himself or herself. Maybe the child can't. And all that frustration and aggression is coming back at home. Sometimes children get bullied for the kind of tiffin they bring to school. Like children make fun of it. Now, a child may feel very guilty or embarrassed to tell their parent, that they make fun of me because of the tiffin that I'm taking. So it comes out as anger in some other form.
Yep, yep. A lot of times children can be worried.
Yes.
We don't know, we are not aware, and we think it's, sometimes when we come to know, we think it's the most bizarre thing to be worried about.
Mm-hmm.
But children also worry a lot,
Mm-hmm.
worry whether their basic needs are going to be met or not, worry if there's substance abuse in the family, if people drink too much, if there's any legal going, if there is violence in the family, then there are uncertainties. Basically, there is, the children are left a little uncertain
Yes.
about what's going to happen next. So that creates a lot of worry. We often think that children, they slink into their own corner and they're not talking about it, or they're not apparently disturbing grown-ups. But if you notice, sometimes of children also sometimes means that they are simmering, they're angry from within, and they're not showing it.
And sometimes children feel very
When do they show it?
neglected.
Down staff, somebody or the other,
Mhm.
where you just are left completely shocked that what happened. You apparently start believing that my child is a complete a loner, or sometimes on her own or on his own, and quiet and timid. Now suddenly, where did that come from?
Mhm.
So that, as a parent, you start worrying that maybe the child has aggression, maybe the child has passive signs of aggression. This whole passive aggressive that we talk about, this could be an onset. A lot of grown-ups who suffer from passive aggression, basically, if you look at it, starts from early childhood.
Yes.
So where is it starting from? So these could be a major cause of anger.
Another thing is lack of physical exercise. Like a lot of
Pragati, you want
times,
to add something?
yes. Another thing is what I feel is sometimes it's lack of physical exercise. These days, children have schedules which could rival any CEO's schedule. From 6 in the morning till 10 in the night, they are over pressurized and overburdened. Be good at academics, be good at, let's say, some kind of a co curricular activities, then maybe have something which will look good on their resume when they apply 20 years later for college and stuff like that. So, all that pressurizes a child at a different level. So, they are not able to articulate their tiredness. And for children, the best form of growth is play. They need to physically let out steam. Earlier on, every child usually had time to go to a park and there was access to parks. Now, with fear of a lot of dengue and all that, a lot of parents are slightly wary of the outdoors unless and until they have avenue to specific places where games can be played or some premier locations. So what happens is that natural energy, that body mind balance, there's just no avenue for them to kind of let off their steam. So that's another reason why anger tends to accumulate in them. And even as adults, many a times we adults around them role model faultily. Like if you are exercising, it's to watch your weight, or it's for a desired goal, it's never for just relaxing or to feel good about your life. So everything is so regimented that I think that joy of just physical play or just relaxing has gone away. So that leads to a lot of festering anger.
Another angle that I want to talk about is something that I've often seen parents don't want to address or feel very scared to address. There are three emotions that I want to talk about in particular, which parents feel very scared to address in children when they see signs of aggression, or when they see signs that child is showing symptoms of being an angry child. One is jealousy. Most of the times when parents see that there is jealousy in a child, they start feeling so miserable themselves. They start thinking that where did this come from? But instead of like I put up this post in the morning, that instead of feeling nervous, or even if you're feeling nervous about tackling it, your first is tackle that nervousness, tackle that feeling that, oh my god, my world is coming crumbling down. That feeling, if you have tackled or battled, only after that comes talking to your children about this concept of jealousy, very primary emotion, something that most kids feel. And most kids, by the time they're about 10, 12, they realize that it's not okay to talk about it in the open. Jealousy towards a sibling, jealousy towards a friend, sometimes jealousy for parental attention, sometimes jealousy towards anyone else they perceive as having more than you.
True.
Another person has something more than you, and you feel jealous of that.
Yes.
But this is something that parents want to hush up. Parents don't want to talk about it. Children feel it. As a result, a lot of children grow up feeling a lot more jealous than it could have been if that was a concept that was spoken at home at an early age.
True.
A simple logic that you might feel jealous of someone having more than you, or getting more than you, or getting away more, more often than you. But just look at what all you have and what is possible in your given situation.
I think there has
So
to be healthy
this
conversation
emotion,
around
yeah,
anger. A lot of times, like what you're
yeah,
talking about is jealousy, if it's not harnessed, it's something which can sap out all other good intentions. A lot of times, it's just a matter of a simple conversation. Like, let's say, if it's jealousy for attention of a parent, if a parent is in constant,
you and I think are the best example. We have seen
yeah,
enough grown-ups, men, women, both, coming to us at a much later age in life, where we realize their main problem of current times is basically because of jealousy towards some sibling. That
true,
sibling got away much more than me.
yes.
That sibling, that one or two siblings or whatever, could be the youngest or in the family, could be the eldest. So I had to always feel that, that sense of deprivation.
Yes.
But that has led to people becoming angry men, angry women. So now today, if we realize today, if we are talking about it today, the people who are accidentally listening to us may actually think about it, reflect on it, and think if it makes sense, if it resonates, then we can change it. There's always time to change. The best part about mental health is it's flexible. It starts working the moment you start working at it.
True. And the way to manage your anger is first, you start feeling your feelings. Next, what also helps is, some kind of deep breathing exercise. A lot of times, practicing the pause is a very good technique. Now, as parents, we feel we can lash out at a child when we are angry, but a child dare not lash out at us. The child needs to be polite at all times. The child needs to be grateful. The child needs to be basically Mother Teresa personified, as though you're the little angel that we see everywhere. Now the whole thing is, if we are human and we realize that sometimes we also slip up, and if we have slipped up, if we have gotten angry at our child, we can just apologize to them and say that what I did, I realized, is that I was very tired, I was very hungry, or I was in the middle of a work schedule and you interrupted me. I'm so sorry I lost my cool on you. Can we talk about that? Sometimes just having healthy conversations around anger helps us bridge the gap. And also, children learn by example. If you can show a child how to regulate anger, the child also learns how to regulate it. And it just doesn't become a war of who is right and who is wrong. Rather, it just becomes a joint goal that we care for each other and harmony is important. And your way works for you sometimes, and my way works for me. It doesn't have to be my way or the highway just because I'm the parent. It's actually a very important technique for anger management, or I think what works is having the mindset of multiple truths. You know that there are different ways of looking at things. Like when I want to share, like when my daughter makes me read a meme, I just don't get it. Sometimes I find the
Yes,
humor
and
in
before
it.
we part, one more
Yes.
motion.
Yes, Devleen, I'll just finish off. So, so I don't understand memes, but
Okay, okay.
sometimes I realize it makes her happy. So I just go along. And sometimes I tell her, could you just explain the meme to me? And then she grins and she's like, Mom. Early on, sometimes I would say, no, I don't want to see it. And I would see her face become small and there would just be slight irritability. Now I realize sometimes you just have to be like them. If they're trying to share their life with you, you can just be there with them. A lot of times that's enough to diffuse anger in children. They just feel accepted for who they are and their view of the world. It doesn't have to make sense to an adult. I think just having that space to be your own self and be flexible really helps curb anger. Because if you think, even yourself, if you say something and I don't agree, but I let you be, you will not get angry with me. You will realize that we agree to disagree. But if I start challenging you or say, no, you're absolutely wrong, somewhere that irritation starts creeping in. And if which we don't watch out for, tends to turn into anger. So I feel one of the most effective anger management techniques is just acknowledging multiple truths. And if we are okay with that, and if we don't stereotype people, if we don't just pass judgments, automatically, if we have a tolerant attitude, our children also pick up and have a tolerant attitude.
Absolutely. With that, I think we've more or less covered all the points. With that, we will wrap it up for today. Please tune in to the Facebook next week again, same time. Until then, stay safe. See you. Bye bye.
Bye bye, everyone. See you next week.